Hello and welcome to Junked Elements. If you've been in the element community for a while, you know that these elements have a serious rust problem. I live up here in the Northeast, specifically central Pennsylvania, and a lot of the elements that I've bought from this area, New York, New Jersey, a lot of them have been taken off the road completely because of the rust. So what happens is the rear control arm mount will tear away from the body, and at that point the vehicle is essentially totaled. It's very, very difficult to repair, and if a shop is willing to take it on, you're going to be spending probably upwards of $5,000 to get it fixed. And to make sure that doesn't happen to you and your beloved element, I'm going to be going over these products that I use to make sure my elements don't rust out. This stuff has really helped to protect my element, which kind of had some rust when I bought it, but because I've used the fluid film undercoating on it, I'm gonna get some more years out of it, which I'm super happy about. Now this one, as you can see, isn't my prettiest element, but it's gonna be perfect to show you exactly where the rust accumulates so you know what spots are important to hit. Alrighty, so underneath the rear, you can see areas that are low hanging, such as right here, are gonna rust. Another area that this is probably the worst spot where rust accumulates and deteriorates is this rear bumper impact bar. These things will literally disintegrate before your very eyes, and a lot of the times I see people running into issues with getting their element inspected because this thing is rusted out. Another area is right here where your strut goes into your frame. So that accumulates rust pretty good. You can see it all up in there. So I would recommend getting that area too. And now, as we come over to the side of the vehicle, we can look at this area. So this is your rear control arm mount. This is the most important area to rust coat. And specifically, it's where these bolts go into the frame. You're going to want to completely coat this area right here and right back here. This is the worst. Now moving on to the rocker panels. This collects rust really well. So just get this whole area around here. If there's going to be any holes in your rocker, it's going to be right around where this is. But of course you're going to want to cover the whole rocker panel. And now we're kind of more towards the front of the car, and this is a big spot where other holes will be. Basically from right here all the way back is another area where I see most rocker panel holes. And then everything else is pretty standard. Like you can see there's rust forming on this frame, so you're definitely going to want to get this part. And then over on the passenger side, you also want to get the control arm mount area too, and the rocker panel. In the front here, this area doesn't really tend to rust out, and a lot of this stuff can actually be unbolted and changed. It's not really part of your frame. If you want to go the extra mile, stuff like these bolts tend to get a little bit rusty and corroded. You can do your oil pan if you want to. I don't think it's that important to do. Now we'll take a look underneath the hood and show you some areas you might want to hit. So this is kind of a place where it's not as important. You might want to come along here and spray these bolts like here. An area like this back corner sometimes accumulates rust, so it could be healthy for you to spray back here and maybe alongside down here. But generally you want to keep stuff off of like your bell or off of things that get heated up, because it's going to end up burning off and stinking. But a place that I definitely would recommend hitting, if we pull this little guy off, right down there, that area collects a lot of rust. And then we have pretty much the same thing over here on this side. You can see that gets pretty rusty too. Now another area you might not think about would be actually the bottom of your doors. So I remember doing my mom's last year. She's starting to have some rust accumulate. You can see right in there is the start of rust. And actually, on the front side of the door, we're starting to get some rust bubbles, like right here. So that's no good. And a lot of the time in rusty environments, the bottoms of these doors really start to rust out. So you can either use the brush applicator or the spray bottle to just get the bottom sills of these doors. The application would just look like this. Now let's go over some areas you definitely don't want to hit. You don't want to spray anything in here on your brake components. This stuff is interchangeable. You can see there's a little bit of rust right there. Don't spray that. You really want to focus on your frame. So don't spray anything around your braking system, and that includes the front too. Don't spray around this belt area. Now you can spray like the mount right here or down there a little bit on the frame, but if you spray stuff right here, it's going to kick up and it's going to burn and make a bad smell, so don't do that. Another area you're not going to want to get is your exhaust system, because when that gets hot, it's going to burn off the fluid film. And also that spot really doesn't ever rust out, so you don't have to worry about that. Now that you guys know what areas rust on this, we're gonna go over to Stacy's car and spray it and show you how to do that. In this video, I have fluid film clear and fluid film black. So for Stacy's element, we're gonna be using the regular fluid film. This is the stuff that I've always used and I've liked it, so we're gonna be using it on hers. You're gonna wanna shake it up really well, and you can either just spray it straight out of the can or use this gun applicator. Basically, when you pull the trigger, it'll press down on the nozzle and release fluid. You're just going to want to spray. While it's important to get areas such as this, all this stuff can be replaced, but something like this right up here, this is your main frame. This cannot be replaced. So we want to target this area very well. Make sure all this is covered. I'm now done with the rear part of Stacy's element. So you can see I got a lot of it up here, and up here I got a lot of it too. I got inside here, all down this rear bumper thing, trailer hitch, everything. This is our rear control arm. This is the spot that we need to make sure we coat the absolute best, because if anything fails, this is a spot you don't want it to be. So we're gonna spend a lot of time in this area making sure we get everything. Make sure you just get everywhere. You can even spray inside here. But this part back here needs to be absolutely coated. Up in this corner, this is another area that gets really corroded, and especially right here. If there's ever going to be any holes in your rocker panel, it'll be right in this area here, so we want to get that pretty well too. And then here's the other control arm mount. This one tends to rust more than the other side. We can get this rocker. You still want to spray in here. So go from the outside of your wheel and spray all this in here. Here in the front, this part doesn't really rust out too bad. So we're just going to lightly coat this. just shoot some around in there. And down in there. And sometimes it's easier to access from right here, which in this case it is. And then you can get it here on the passenger side too. Nice. Stacy's element is completely done, so we're gonna go underneath now and show you what it looks like. I showed you the regular clear fluid film. Now I'm going to show you the fluid film black on this 2003 Element. So at a first look, this is our black fluid film. It coats really well, and it's also nice because it shows you areas that you might have missed, such as underneath here. So it can help you spot out areas that you might have not hit. I'm going to continue undercoating this element and I'll show you when it's done. I've seen some people go into depth with pulling out these rubber grommets, and you definitely can pull that out and get access to the inside of the rocker panel, but you kind of want the nozzle attachment so you can slide it down the rocker and spray. One thing to mention is that when this stuff is sprayed on, or when you're done driving your car and it burns off a little bit, it does have a smell, but don't worry, that smell will go away. In total, I used 3 cans of black for the silver 2003 Element, and I used 3 cans of the regular for Stacy's Element. Here's my mom's Element. Last year, I applied a coat of the regular stuff to her Element. I'll show you what it looks like. After a year of driving, here's the undercarriage. You can see it's very, very dry. Lower control arm, you can see how nice everything is. That's what we like to see. I also did the rear back here. Look at that. So you can see it just dries out and prevents any rust from touching the surface of this metal. So what would I recommend? Should you go with the black or should you go with the regular? My personal opinion is I like this better, because a lot of the time I see like kind of sketchy element sellers will completely spray underneath these rusty elements and try to sell them to people that don't really know a lot about the rust issues. And when they do that undercoating, it's usually like a black color, so it kind of blends in the area, but they're just basically hiding rust and trying to scam somebody. So spraying this on kind of makes it look like that to me. So I like this better. This goes on clear, and then over time dirt and dust will start to collect, and then it turns like a black kind of like grease, like dry grease sort of thing. Now if you want these products, they're available on Amazon And don't just make Jeff Bezos happy, make me happy too. Down in the description, my Amazon storefront is there. So if you purchase these products, I think I get like 3% of the sale. So if you want this stuff and you want to support me a little bit, use that link. I have all the different fluid film products, from the aerosol cans to the brush on to whole buckets of it. But if you're really just looking for one application to one vehicle, I would use 3 cans of this. That'll be the first thing in the list on my Amazon storefront. Fluid film, everybody. Thank you for watching and good luck. Box Boy out.